Chapter 16. When Lycell woke, he sat up in the daybed. Adrienne, still asleep, twisting and turning around in her bed, trying to get comfortable. She had to be uncomfortable with the babies moving around ready to come out. She lay there holding her stomach with a furrowed brow and her breathing shallow and uneven. Then she groaned as if in pain. He stood up and stepped on the floor to go to her bed to comfort her. But Wilder had entered the room at the same time he reached Adrienne. "What are you doing, Lycell? And who are you?" Lycell said, his eyes narrow with one eyebrow raised. "I'm Wilder, your brother, remember?" "I didn't mean that. You aren't Adrienne's doctor and she's my wife and she's in pain. What are you doing in here, should be my question." "I came to help Adrienne. She's due any day and I wanted to make sure she's all right," Wilder said. "Who gave you the right to see about Adrienne?" Lycell questioned. "You're sick and you can't do anything yet. You should be in a hospital bed," Wilder said with a pacifying tone. "Who says I'm sick?" Lycell questioned Wilder. "You had a bullet wound. You've stayed days in the snow and freezing cold. You were in a wreck. Should I go on?" Wilder's eyes focused on Lycell's chest. Lycell's eyes following Wilder's down to his shoulder, trying to imagine how he could have gotten shot. "And when you left here, you had a truck. Samseville's sheriff located a signal from the truck. It appears you drove the truck off the road coming from Lake Tahoe. Do you remember any of that?" He shook his head and turned feebly back to the bed and climbed in. Wilder strolled over to the bed Adrienne slept in and watched at her. Lycell looked at Wilder. It was obvious. Wilder is in love with her, he thought. And it's more than concern for his brother's wife that brought him in her room. It went deeper, and it became troubling for Lycell to grasp. "You're in love with my wife. Where is your wife? Don't you think you should get you a wife and stop trying to take mine? We're having a baby." "No. Not exactly." Lycell's ears perked up. "You're having more than one. 4, I think the doctor said." "Then that seals it. You should have your own children." "Wilder." Lycell's voice mocking and stiff. "I have my own children. I have 2 sons. Hunter and Devon," Wilder said, his tone cold. "Where are they and where is their mother?" Wilder would only answer half the question, hoping that would satisfy Lycell. "My sons are living in Samseville." "Samseville? Our town. We have a town?" "Yes. Our town. Yours, mine, Drayton and Adrienne. And our children." Lycell closed his eyes, searching his mind, trying to understand how this came about. "So you're saying we own Samseville? How? Why?" "Because it was a gift from our grandfather and grandmother, and our father and mother gave us all this land and money." "We did nothing but inherit it?" Lycell said, pleased. "It's not that simple. Nothing rarely is. Like you coming to see about my wife." Lycell, as usual, wouldn't let that die. When Wilder glanced at Adrienne, she was stirring. It must have been the non-stop conversation between Wilder and Lycell that woke her. "What time is it?" she asked, wiping the sleep from her eyes. Then looking down at her stomach. "I'm hungry." "It's still early, the sun hasn't risen yet. I'll have the cook bring you something." Wilder glanced at the table with the empty tray laying on it, which held berries and milk, ice cream and the bone from a steak Wilder ordered cooked for her. The tray lay empty except for a bone and a large empty bowl that had contained ice cream. "Is that what Adrienne's is eating?" "I'm pregnant and my babies need their nourishment," Adrienne said, smiling at Lycell. She tried getting out of bed. Lycell and Wilder rushed to her at the same time. They glared at each other. Then Lycell held out his hands. Taking his hand, she stood close to him, her stomach touching his body. The warmth of it sent passion burning through him and lighting a fire he couldn't contain. "I want to rub your stomach." He looked up at Wilder. He could see something carnal in his eyes, but Lycell threw it off as just Wilder being jealous because he didn't have a wife. Lycell leaned down to kiss her, and before he could raise his hand to touch her, in walked Tracker. Tracker stood in the doorway and sauntered in with his helmet in his hand and said, "I got here as soon as I could." "And who is this?" "Another brother that I can't remember." Adrienne turned and walked to the bay window and sat on a cushion. Lycell moved with her, holding on to him, and she said, "No. He's your son." "I don't think I'm old enough to have a son his age," Lycell said with a raised eyebrow as he regarded Tracker suspiciously. "One that tattoos his body." "And what age is that, father? If I remember, you're sporting a few tattoos yourself." Tracker moved closer and stood over Lycell, and then kissed Adrienne on her cheek. "What is that, father?" He pointed to a heart on the muscle of Lycell's arm. In that heart were the letters L and A forever. "I need to speak with you, Tracker." "Now," Wilder said. When Tracker looked at Wilder's eyes changing colors from light blue to a deeper darker blue, he knew something was up. Wilder immediately ushered Tracker out of the room into the hall, leaving Lycell and Adrienne together. "What's up with father, Uncle Wilder?" "Didn't Sadia tell you?" "Not much. We weren't doing much talking." And he smiled at Wilder. Wilder kept a passive expression. All business, Tracker thought. I think she did say that he had lost his memory. Not only has he lost his memory, he appears to know Mother, Tracker added. She's the only one. We can't tell him we're werewolves, not the way he's behaving this time. I don't know what he's capable of doing. I wish you would stay a little longer. Wilder put his arm on Tracker's shoulder. He was never close to Wilder. Wilder left when he was a pup, only coming back occasionally. As head of the pack, Wilder had to make sure the Alaskan pack wouldn't drag everyone into a war, which Wilder thought would be the end to all werewolves in the Americas. Lycell refused to head the council meetings, and so Wilder took the reins for the good of the pack, which gave Lycell the greatest influence with Adrienne until now. I guess I can't leave, not with father behaving like a human. I'll stay at the apartment. Don't have Robert's daughter live with you. He's concerned about Sadia because you haven't declared her as your mate, but instead you're sleeping with her, and maybe ruining her for anyone else. You're asking a lot of me. Tracker stepped to the side and turned away from Wilder. He took a chance doing that to his alpha. But as far as he was concerned, he was a rogue, and why start now trying to be anything else other than what he is? I know you don't like rules and you object to being a part of a pack, but you're a werewolf and you have obligations to your family and your pack. Your grandfather set out rules, and those rules are to be followed no matter where you are. Those rules were put in place so we can survive. And once you stop looking for something better than what you have here, you'll understand and come back home. But until then, try to follow those rules. Wilder took a step and slapped Tracker on the back, and left him standing in the hall thinking. Tracker glanced around to see him disappear through the door and up the walk to the stables. He turned and opened the door a little to watch at his father and mother. He had never seen his father so happy and his mother so sad. He pushed the door open wider. It's time for you to get some rest, father, and for mother to see to her baby. What baby? Lycell said with alarm in his voice. Tracker had to watch what he said to Lycell. He looked to Adrienne, and her eyes opened wide, not knowing what to tell Lycell. Drayton's baby. Your brother. You know you're one of triplets. He looked to Tracker. I guess you'll tell me that you have more brothers. Well, there are 6 of us. 6? How did that happen? And now we're having more babies. I guess I was pretty busy, he chuckled. Adrienne could only smile. It was a weak smile. There is you, Tracker. And Damon. Then Thorn and Harper. Stop. It will take me time to get used to you. I don't want to hear any more. And what kind of name is Tracker, Damon and Thorn? Sounds like something you call a dog. Tracker had managed to distract Lycell's attention away from Drayton and Adrienne's son. He blinked with relief. Adrienne quiet for a moment, then she said to Lycell, "It's time for you to get your rest. You're going to need it." It had an ominous sound to that, Lycell thought. But with all the newborns to care for and think about, he would need his rest. When Tracker brought Lycell to the hospital, Adrienne insisted on following them. She needed to make sure he had taken his medication and was sleeping. Lycell made her fearful. Knowing Lycell, she didn't know what he was capable of doing next.